back to this Ellis Island journey. We visited the New York territory I guess about a week and a half ago, and I had to get this to y'all because we visited the National Immigration Museum, which is on Ellis Island. It's not too far from the Statue of Liberty over in the water or whatever. And what inspired me to do this video is Mother Moreno Bey and her son Mizraim. They basically told us that they visited the National Immigration Museum and the things to look for. So basically, as Moors, we have our 5 principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, right? Now, the Europeans have 5 principles as well. And it's conquest, colonization, migration, enslavement, and annexation. So I just want to break down these pillars that we saw in the museum to prove their intent. Now, some people may say, well, all Europeans are not bad, and Europeans, I understand that. That's true. Individually, of course, but as a collective mass, Europeans have an intent. And I'm about to read these intents that's right directly in front of the museum. Once you walk in the museum, it's in the middle of the museum. And they have 5 pillars that explains in detail their 5 principal intents. Man, it'll blow your mind. It'll blow your mind. So as we walked around the museum, it took a minute before we could actually find it because we didn't know exactly where to look. Mother Roz, I don't think she was very specific at that time exactly like where it was located. But eventually, after a couple of hours, I made it my business, man. I said, I'm gonna find this and I'm gonna do a video so people can see the true intent. And they put it right in your face so you can read it, and they're not hiding anything, okay? So for the people that say anything about, well, Europeans, that was a long time ago, and, they don't do this stuff anymore. Yes, they do. Collectively, yes, they do. Because the entire government is being controlled by Europeans with the same intent, and they benefit from it. So you hear some Europeans say, well, I wasn't the one that did it, but they benefit from what their ancestors have done or what the Europeans are doing now. So they benefit from it. So, I mean, let's just be real about it. I'm not trying to excite, any type of, race war, anything like that. I'm just breaking it down. I'm just being straight up. Okay. When you walk into the exhibit in this particular area, what I'm speaking about, it's this one pillar, well, actually, it's on the wall, and it says, the peopling of America. Now, check this out. It says, the story of the peopling of America is epic and complex. It spans thousands of years, contains an amazing diversity of characters, and takes place within a broad global context. It encompasses conquest, colonization, migration, enslavement, and annexation. Just what I explained to you all. It embraces those who settled here permanently. Those are the Europeans collectively, as well as those who stayed for a while and then returned home. We invite you to explore the peopling of America in 4 exhibits: Global Migration, Journeys, the Peopling of America, 1550 through 1890, the Ellis Island Experience, 1892 through 1954, Journeys, New Eras of Immigration, 1945 to present. So before I hit it, I'm going to tell you something else. As I explored this museum in the island, I noticed that there was no Asiatics there. It was only Europeans. So Asiatic people, Moors, y'all need to go to this museum. If you're in New York, there's no excuse not to attend this museum to see what's up, to see how they're putting it right in your face. All right? And I mean, that's my advice, check it out. If you don't check this out, man, I mean, you really missing out. And for the people that actually can't check it out, I'm gonna read to you exactly um, the pictures I took in the museum of the conquest, the 5 pillars. Remember, our 5 principles: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Their 5 principles is conquest, colonization, migration, enslavement, and annexation. Okay? All right, I'm going to read the first one that says conquest. It says, despite the myth that North America lay empty and available for taking, European explorers encountered over 200 different cultures whose ancestors had lived on this continent for thousands of years. Through armed conflict, Europeans seized the land and claimed it for settlement. This often entailed enslaving, subjugating, or removing native peoples to reservations against their wills. Disease was an unattended instrument of conquest. Millions of Native Americans died from foreign viruses to which they had no resistance. Man, they ain't even sugarcoating it. All right, we're gonna look up this word conquest real quick. Now I'm telling y'all, people, they got it laid out, and they letting you know exactly what the intent is, was, and still is. You understand? Actually, that goes back to this book as well, the Indica Terra Divina. And as if you look at the bottom, it says documented proof of conquest intent. All right. And this information right here within this booklet can be found in the Reader's Companion to American History. Eric Foner and John A. Garrity are the editors. Okay. So this church bulla of 1493 also describes their intent in conquest in regards to coming to the Americas, enslaving the natives, which are the Moors, taking the land, bringing their kinfolks in from wherever, whatever country there is in Europe to settle permanently and run the particular land and take the native peoples and put them in a wardship status. All right, let's go to the word conquest. I'm gonna find this and I'm gonna try to define each word so we can all be on the same page, because it's crazy. They put it right there so you can see it. They don't even hide it. All right, conquest. It says act of conquering, captivation as a favor or affections. Territory acquired by conquering, a person whose favor or affections have been captivated. So it's letting you know right there exactly what conquest is for those that don't know what conquest is. All right, I'm going to their next of their 5 principal intents is colonization. Okay. Oh man, they ain't playing with it. These Moors out here that's killing each other, that has no mind frame in regards to trying to do anything positive. Man, they got you. They telling you what's up. Colonization. European nations colonized the Americas to exploit natural resources. Think about it, people. Gold, silver, and anything else that's on our land. Engage in commerce. Think about it. Engage in commerce. Create new communities. Think about the gentrification in all of our territories. Think about gentrification. And convert native peoples to Christianity, because Christianity is a political system, somewhat like Democrat Republic. Okay, it's not religious anything. Okay, that's where it stems from. Spain, France, Holland, England, and other European powers claim different parts of what will become the United States. They battled one another as well as Native Americans to gain dominance and control trade and territory. Okay, now let's look up the word colonize or colonization. That way we can be familiar with what is what. Okay, I got the word colonize as a definition and colonist, but colonization is not actually in here. So I'll read colonize and colonist. Colonize, to plant or establish a colony in, settle. England colonized Australia, to form a colony of. Okay, now let's read the definition of colonist. An inhabitant of a colony, a member of a colonizing expedition. Now, that's what I'm speaking about right now. Their intent to colonize. All right, let's go to the third principal intent, which is migration. Beginning tens of thousands of years ago, people migrated to North America and the land that now make up the United States. Now remember, I'm reading directly from their pillars out of the museum. Let me start over. Beginning tens of thousands of years ago, people migrated to North America and the land that now make up the United States. In the 16th century, new groups made the journey, coming from Europe, Africa, and Asia. Today, people continue to arrive in large numbers from every part of the globe. Regardless of when they journeyed, they left their homelands as immigrants in search of new opportunities and freedoms. They arrived as immigrants who worked, struggled, and adapted to the new world. Now, this world was new to them, okay? It was new to them, so you got to think about it, people. Europeans are immigrants. They are foreigners. So how is it that a foreigner or an immigrant can tell a native what to do on his own land? All right, that's due to the conquering. All right, now let's look up the word migration so we can be better familiar for those who don't know what migrate, the definition. We'll look it up. And it's serious, people. Migration. The act of migrating, the rite of migration, a migratory movement, preparatory for migration, a number or body of persons or animals migrating together, a movement or change of place. Okay? To go from one country, region, or place of abode to settle in another, to pass periodically from one region to another. Okay? Migration, people, think about it. All right. Let's go to the fourth intent of their principles, which is enslavement. Now, we all know what enslavement is, especially dealing with it connotatively. Okay? Enslavement. European colonial powers enslaved more than 10 million West Africans and transported them to the Americas and the Caribbean. 500,000 enslaved people were brought to the United States, forcibly moved across continents to feel a ravenous hunger for labor. These men and women created the agriculture might of the nation. Their enslavement played a role in both building the nation and in tearing it apart. All right, that's self-explanatory. All right, let's move into the last principle of their intent, which is annexation. Now, this one right here is very interesting, the annexation. All right, well, I'll go into the definition first. Annex, to attach, join, or add to something larger or more important, unite. Annexation, act of annexing, especially new territory. All right. Annexation is the claiming of new territories by a government through war, treaty, or purchase. The United States expanded its territory by annexing areas that had once belonged to other nations, especially Native Americans, France, Spain, Russia, Mexico, and Hawaii. While the people who inhabited these annexed territories did not physically migrate, they still found themselves living in a new country and encountering new people and new challenges. All right, there you go, people. I just read to you the 5 principal intent of the Europeans and why they came to the Americas and their whole entire plan when arriving in the Americas. Also, there was a room, well, there were several rooms where it actually had pictures of Europeans' faces with their personal information showing their port of arrival. It's like a list of alien passengers in the ships. So it actually had a picture of their face, their families, and a lot of them didn't have surnames. A lot of the Slavics that entered didn't have surnames. And it's a room that's dedicated to showing how, you know, like it kind of reminds you of a passport, but it's not a passport. Okay. So 12 million immigrants entered the United States through Ellis Island between 1892 and 1954. In the peak year 1907, over 1 million immigrants stepped across the portal. Legislation enacted in 1924, however, dramatically reduced the number of immigrants allowed into the United States and changed the process of entering for all. Not until 1965 did the nation ease restrictions and open a new era of immigration. Okay? Remember, people, Europeans are foreigners. Anytime they say that they're American, you got to correct them. You got to correct them, people. Because if you don't correct them, they stand as the sovereign. They stand as the ruler. All right? Now, they have an oath of allegiance. Anytime you become a naturalized citizen, you have a national citizen, which is the highest ranked citizen. Those are the Aboriginal indigenous people of the land. Then you have naturalized citizens. Those are the foreigners that come over here to the Americas to become citizens. Okay? Then you have subject citizens, which are like 14th Amendment, water states, people with no nationality, etc. And last but not least, you have aliens. Those are the people that come to this land and remain foreigners and basically don't have any real documentation to prove such. Okay? So they have an oath of allegiance. This is something else I took a picture of. And it says the final step in becoming a naturalized citizen of the United States is taking the oath of allegiance at a formal naturalization ceremony. The video outright shows a group of new citizens at the recent ceremony swearing this oath. Now, this is what they say. I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or a citizen, that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by law, that I will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces of the United States when required by law, that I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by the law, and that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, so help me God. That is all trickery. All right? All trickery. Wake up, people. All right? This is something else I took out of the museum. It was basically how Europeans always emulate us. And it says it right here. It says out of Africa. It's speaking about music and the banjo. It says the banjo influenced the music of many immigrant cultures, including the Scotch, Irish, and Alopecia. Enslaved Africans brought the predecessor of the modern banjo to the New World as early as the 1600s. They played instruments made out of a long neck gourd with the skin, with the skin stretched over a sound hole and strung with animal sinew. Early sources refer to this kind of instrument by various names. Vania, Banshaw, Banjil, Banzar, Strum, and Meriwong. Among many others, slaves played the banjo at festivals to accompany dances for communal entertainment and at public performances in the town square. Now check this out. It says banjo in blackface. White musicians of the mid-1800s, many of them of Irish descent, studied slave music or played what they thought slave music sounded like. They made the banjo the foundation of a widely popular entertainment. Blackface minstrels. Minstrel performers smeared blackened cork on their faces to impersonate slaves and played music to mostly working class and Irish immigrant audiences in the Northeast. Performers portrayed racist characters, but minstrel music was, in fact, a dizzying mix of African, Scotch-Irish, and other influences. Still, the percussive strumming of the African banjo anchored minstrel music. And it's showing a picture of Pete Seeger, a folk musician, and it's showing the grassroots of bluegrass. It's showing another European guy that's playing the banjo, basically because they're emulating what they call slaves. But of course, we can't be slaves because slaves is dealing with Slovenia, it's dealing with Slovakian, it's dealing with people that of that nationality, which is Slovakian. And that's something we cannot be because we are Moors. All right. I'm looking for something else. It's a wealth of information. I just couldn't believe it. Actually, I think they have a virtual tour you can take online. So if anyone can take that virtual tour, that'll be cool as well. And it shows the routes that the Europeans took all across North America, Mexico. They're not hiding it, people. You know, they're not hiding it at all. You know, they're straight up real with their conquering, the conquest, the colonization, the migration, the enslavement, and annexation. Okay, they're not playing. So my advice to you Moors out here, you need to wake up. All right.